Bye. Good night. Thanks for having me. First poem I'm going to do for you is called Choice of My Choice. Dreary is the sight from this window, as Aurora exalts her beautiful face, beckoning darkness beneath the rim of her skirt. Night, the mothership of all secrets, concubine and bedfellow am I, inheriting the phallic odor of strangers as anarchy combats my senses. Brief encounters of stolen moments help subdue obnoxious imbeciles' loneliness, epically increasing the depths of my own. Dank, murky streets swarm with rats, maggots, and sadomasochistic creatures. The repugnant smell of stale perfume expands throughout the air as the reeking stench of bile swirls among sewage, racing to unknown destinations beneath dim street lamps. But as that clock strikes that precious hour, I flee home, shedding my remains by the threshold, and enter my domicile seconds before Aurora reveals her beauty. She, who mollifies self-loathing. Her effervescent ardor caresses my children's tender faces as they stir before awakening, and I am again blessed to hear the crescendo of the concerto, thus being their voices, music to my ears. She looks at me, has the undertone of disappointment in her eyes, a sadness that lingers behind for all that she wanted to be. Mama, who is supposed to love me. Flesh of her body, facial features that has no flaws to whom I belong. Yet, Mama didn't know what to do with me. My siblings are perfection, and I stand in comparison, never measuring up. Mama, who doesn't know how to love. Mama, who could never understand the gifts from God. Mama, who stays lost in her self-indulgent, materialistic purchases, absorbed by her own arrogance and wanting a shoulder to cry on without despair. Sad song does Mama sing when she finally reaches for me, but my eyes blast her with a winter's wind, and I feed her chips from the glacier that she helped to create. Frostbite has set in. Our winter storms never end. How long can one stand in the place where the trees are constantly being cut down? Timber echoes, but I was never swift enough to get out of the way. Leveled by falling wood, scraped by sharp branches, thorns stuck through my side. And as I crawled from under the tree, blood trailed behind me. When I looked, there she stood with an axe and a chainsaw. Mama, who can't see beyond the trees. She leaves me with a bludgeoned body with no path to follow, no trail mix to find, hunger in my belly and strength I must find, finding my way back to her, time after time. Silently I cry out to her, hoping that she'll notice. But Mama can't see anything but her own stake toward glory. My next poem is called Proceed with Caution. He was clandestine in his meetings with her and quixotic in the approach. Before the sweat could evaporate from his forehead and the diminished ejaculation consider re-erection, she was a faded memory. Like the excitement of a carousel, good for a ride or two. His magnetic attraction to her exhumed itself in the carnality of phallic arousal as the image of him wiping his diffused remains of dying soldiers across her cheeks entered his mind. Beyond the bray of horses, heat-stricken gnats swirl 360 degrees above their heads in expeditious convictions without destination landings. The sun-scorching intensity pushes through wheat stalks as scarecrow's straw trickles beyond the lapel of his shirt. A kaleidoscope of emotions sweeps in all at once, and she sees her distorted reflection within the fragments of shard glass surrounded by bold colors. The realization revived her consciousness into understanding. She's the jester for his entertainment, the pantomime of performance whose features he can't recall, a clown incarnate that conceals identity, fool's paradise. It shook her to the core, and the utopian daydream of happily ever after came crashing down. Violins, mandolins, and harps' sweet melodic composition became dismantled as she mutilated the nightingale in despair, used. It ran through her mind like heroin through an addict's veins, used. Like a doormat that soaks up muck under a boot after a rainstorm, used to satiate his sexual hunger. Her perplexed, phantasmagorical, perceptive thoughts of him were diabolical. Dreams of dancing candlelight, shimmering off of blades, seemed to twinkle like a star's chatoyant brilliance. Sadly, she was reborn from fallacious tales, moist, crumpled sheets, debased treatment, and self-serving, egotistical desires. Peace could not restore the balance of equilibrium in her mind, and logic and reason fled her body like OJ from a crime scene. A sphinx-like appearance started to reconfigure her frame. Vengeance was hers, not the Lord's. His omnipresence held no relevance for her. Hold the silence before the storm, children. This story is of a daydreamer's amplified white noise and a monger's prepubescent contemptible behavior. Halloween night, she wore the wimple of a nun and cloaked herself in garb alike. A gold-plated rosary swung from her neck. She pressed his doorbell. Tricks or treat, with a demure smile, she spun around like a samurai and thrusted a hatchet into his skull and plowed with cadence. The brevity of his life came to a catastrophic end, and his inebriated body became a celebrated delight for her octogenarian personality. She allotted him no time for a derogatory comment, no time for a meticulously designed plan to get her back into bed. However, she did allow him to understand pain. In a subdued Ponian fashion, she asked the others, had they had enough red wine to drink that flowed through his arteries or membranes of flesh to eat? All onyx-colored eyes and maggot-layered lips raised their head in unison like a choir's last note. Floating on air gave a resounding yes, and smiled with satisfaction for a vendetta well executed and a victory won.
Yeah.
My last poem is called Love Letter. This is my love letter to America. Mythical, picturesque, disillusioned dreams of America. My back on which you mounted, stroking me with judicial, melodramatic balladry of hypocrisy. In God we trust, in greed we seek. 20th century modern-day slavery, a country whose greatest landmarks, monuments, and businesses were crafted by the bludgeoned hands of minorities. Now we turn on our televisions only to hear exquisite babble of debauched commentary and flagrant speeches from our most powerful political figures. Reneged promises and shattered dreams, I trusted you. With an unwavering stare, you placed one hand on the Bible and the other in the air and took on oath to uphold the laws of God and land, seducing us to believe in the land of opportunity where all men are created equal. Galvanized by what you stood for, my quest began when I abandoned my birthplace, who treated me like a whore and tossed me out into the night after being used for its pleasures. Some of us were yanked into this country forcefully, others willingly. Many stowed away in the backs of trucks, ships swam across vast oceans as others died inside car trunks. I ran to you, only to find out I'm still an unwanted whore. It's funny what one will do when freedom is supposed to ring. Patriotic songs, white picket fences, land of the free, home of the brave. Take me out to the ball game, peanuts and popcorn. Oh, say, can't you see? All bullshit of what the American dream is supposed to represent. But you continue to sodomize us by sadists who reap wealth and power. Come election season, you again have the audacity to ask me to eat from the same spoon of deception, wanting me to lie on my back and spread my legs as you fill my void with liquid prose of poetry, hoping that the euphoric state of seduction will recede my eyes to the back of my head, releasing an erratic climactic scream of ecstasy to see iridescent colors of rainbows painted on raw canvases. Here's the problem, my love. Even a whore knows when to get out of the game. We're not typographical errors that you can conveniently obliterate and delete from history's text. We are willing to work for that from which you stole in order to build your great nation, albeit for me to notice the nefarious narcissist jargon spew. Ghostly sounds of bells ringing from merchant ships selling live cargo still haunt the bay. Segregated cruelty of a nation's rapture rocked this universe. Darkened shades of red, white, and blue are continually revealing injustices and oppressions. It's all here to scorch the throats of those who spat on our civil liberties. From this chalice, you will drink the antidote of truth. We are the products of your fortunes, industries, and infrastructures. Your sketchy foundations are cracking the walls of your magnificent towers. You can eradicate this problem by not asking us to leave, but band together to build a broken nation by crying redemption for all races. Allow freedom to reign. Allow freedom to reign.